Bogelli. Be it resolved that the agenda be approved as presented.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, moving on to the adoption of our meetings of previous meetings.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Deputy Mayor Densham. Be it resolved that the following minutes be approved as presented. Regular meeting from 13th of January 2026 and the special meeting from the 14th of January 2026.
Any questions in regards to the minutes of our previous meetings? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Moving on to item 9, receiving of our monthly staff reports and recommendation.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Bogelli, that the Council of the Township of North Stormont receives report FIN 01-2026 from the Treasurer regarding reporting under Ontario Regulation 284-09 for information purposes.
Thank you. Did, maybe I'll take him. Did you want to kind of brief us, and then we'll get questions from council if there's any?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Under Regulation 284/09, in preparing for a budget for a year, a municipality may exclude certain expenses, but this report must be adopted to council so that they are aware that these are expenses will not be included in the budget report. In the analysis section, you will see that under this regulation, amortization expenses, although not identified as a budget item, are noted as $1,618,767 as per the 2024 financial statements. Although it is identified as an expense, there is an offset in a decrease to the value of the asset. We do not budget for amortization, and it's not in our current budget. There are no post-employment benefit expenses that the township is aware of that are going to occur. And for the 2026 budget, there is no solid landfill closure or post-closure costs, as landfills have been properly closed and are being monitored annually. This report is being brought forward under this regulation, so council is aware that these items are not appearing in the 2026 budget.
Any questions? So I don't, like, I'm trying to think back always, like, is that something that comes back every year where or is that something different and that has not occurred in the past?
No, through you, Mr. Mayor, it's been happening since 2023, I believe, and it is part of that regulation that we have to report it to council prior to council approving the budget.
Thank you. So seeing no further questions, all in favor of accepting the report, motion is carried. Moving on to item 9.2 in regards to the alarm system consideration in regards to the Chrysler Library feasibility study.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Bogelli, that the Council of the Township of North Stormont receive and approve report number REC-01-2026 submitted by the Director of Parks, Recreation and Facilities, and further that Council direct administration to prepare a complete report outlining all additional costs once they are provided by the supplier, and that staff return to Council with confirmed technical and financial implications once the fire alarm contractor has completed the assessment related to the potential 1,500 square foot library expansion.
Okay, so in regards to, so it happens, I sit on the library board, so I haven't seen, I was aware that we are doing a feasibility study. I believe that there's people that came and so there is work that has started on this, from what I understand, but there was not a meeting held since December or November, I'm not sure, Lachlan. And then we were not having any meetings in January. The next one is February the 12th. So we'll know more under February the 12th of the information that will be gathered at the board meeting in regards to the study. What happens is now we're in line to doing a new system for the fire alarm system for the Chrysler Community Center, which affects the library. But I don't want to go too far not knowing what we're doing and identifying some cost from the, so Pierre, maybe you can, is it something that we can make the company aware that's doing that, that's got the contract? And maybe before moving forward on anything, we'll know more by February 12th of the direction that we're taking.
Yeah, through the chair, I just inquired with our contractor to see what would be the extra cost if this extension was to happen. And they were very collaborative, and as soon as we can submit some kind of plans to them, they'll be able to tell us how many extra monitors they need for this extension and what the possible cost would be to add these additional sensors and whatever they need to add for the fire panel.
Any questions from county? Go ahead, council, sorry. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Densham.
Yeah, I agree with the mayor's approach. I guess I was trying to figure out what specifically is being asked to be approved here. It sounds like at this point, we're giving the library planning committee a heads up that there's going to be potentially additional costs. And you've got alternatives at the bottom that is suggesting, you know, SD&G covers the additional costs, we share it, so on and so forth. I think I agree with your recommendation, which is the project, expansion project should cover the costs, I think is the direction you're having. But I guess that's what I was trying to understand is what's being asked at the council table here. Is it to make a decision on one of the options tonight? Or is it simply to provide some additional communication early over to the project team saying, be aware this is going on and at some point a decision will need to be made?
Through the chair, this is more of an informal, this is what's happening in the library, because I received an email, I believe, on the 10th to attend a meeting with an architect and representative of the SD&G library for viewing all the facility, including the basement and community center, how they plan to build firewalls, because now it's a separate building. So there's an architect that's going to get a plan ready for SD&G library board to evaluate. And from there, it's my directions. Being proactive is what would be the cost if this happens, because we're getting a fire alarm system installed in the hall in the library presently, and if we're going to add an extra 1,500 square feet, what would be the cost for the fire alarm to be installed in that extra facility? And that's that study. As soon as they get prices back, you'll be able to come back to council, like I mentioned, make a full report, what could be the potential costs of getting this, and then the council will have the option 1, 2, 3 at the bottom of either decided, but this for a later date. Right now, this is, as far as, it's just an informative report. So this is what's happening in the library.
Councillor McDonald.
So the building, the Chrysler Community Center property and building, do we own that, including the library?
Correct.
And it's great that they're doing this study. Will the results of the study come to us as the township and the landowner?
Yes, I'm sure it will, but right now it's an SD&G library initiative that we're doing this study. It's wise just to bring the discussions to, because of the alarm system that we're mandated to put in, to make sure that it doesn't get where if we move forward and find out, okay, we might go there, that the whole system is now no longer, so they're kind of telling us ahead of time that yes, this would maybe work for the zone, and it's just based to make them aware so that we're not creating issues when we do decide. So go ahead.
So my concern is, and I'm glad you brought the report, it just got me thinking about the parking and the community garden, and just if there's going to be impacts to other things that go on the property, like the garden. It's the type of thing that the community would want to have a heads up. And I understand like parking is really tight there and there's just not a lot of options. But it would be nice just that we consider everything holistically. This is very timely and informative, but we want to make sure that we are able to provide notice, because some of those people are very invested in some of the things they're offering there. And more notice would be better than surprise you don't get to have a garden this year would be really upsetting. So just
Well,
And through the chair, that's why I brought it forward, so you know what's going on. And yes, if from what the discussion was, is they're adding 1,500 feet plus the outdoor venues they got already. So There will be no parking left on the side of the library, which reduced the parking lot at the site to 6 vehicles. So therefore, we don't want to have enough parking for the community center itself. So we'll have to look at, the other addition would
Maybe
be
people like
adding
me should
parking.
walk down instead of drive down. I'm gonna put my hand up and say I could start walking, but yeah, we know people like to drive in our community, and parking, it'll be a big consideration, so, thank you.
No, and I appreciate the fact that you did bring it forward. It just makes us aware and understanding, like saying, do we get the study? Do we see the study? It affects, like you mentioned, our parking. It affects a lot of stuff. So I think it's a collaborative role that we're taking on together to see what can be done, and then we'll determine the next step at the library board to start with.
Through the chair, my biggest concern was the fire alarm system we put in. What if it wasn't big enough? And then we approved it, this expansion, and going like, now we have to change the whole system. So I thought being proactive, going, okay, do we need a bigger alarm panel? Will this fit, or do we need to add a zone? We purchased a 4-zone. Do we need to purchase a 5-zone panel? And this is all we're going to get back from this report. So this way we'll be able to go forward. And if we have to do amendment to our contract, we will. And then but hopefully from the little bit of response I got back, there should be enough space in the zone called library in this fire panel to add these extras. So we'll look at a minimal cost compared to redo a full fire alarm system.
Thank you. Any other further questions? Seeing none until we get back, so we'll just keep us posted, or we'll work together and hopefully come up with a solution. So seeing that and no other questions, all in favor of the report? Motion is carried. Moving on, so I don't think we have a very heavy council meeting tonight. With reason, we've got our budget, but after reviewing what was done, I think staff did a really good job, so it might go smoother than what I thought. But let's start with item 9.3, 2026 budget.
Moved by Councillor Bujelli, seconded by Deputy Mayor Densham, that the Council of the Township of North Stormont approve report FIN-02-2026 from the interim treasurer to accept the 2026 municipal budget as presented in the worksheets attached to this report in the amount of $4,181,637 and water and wastewater charges to be formally approved by bylaws.
Thank you. So, if maybe I get our treasurer or our two treasurers to give us maybe a briefing of what took place from our first draft budget day and changes and what took place, just so that we're well aware before we ask questions.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, before I pass this on to Lachlan, there is a capital sheet in front of you that was adjusted. It did not change the levy, it did not change the account numbers, it did not change anything except the purpose. It's highlighted in kind of pink. There was guardrail rail replacement originally in the budget at $75,000, but there is double surface treatment in Tolmie's Corners that needs to be done. We did get a grant for pothole repairs recently, but that applies to 2025's expenses, not 2026. The thought was it was for 2026, but it's not. But to be cost effective, it makes no sense if they're doing other parts of Tolmie's Corners to not do this section as well. So to be cost effective, it's been brought forward to do that double surface treatment at $50,000 and knock the guardrail down from 75 to 25. And that's as per the Public Works Superintendent's request. So it does not affect the tax levy in any manner. It did not change the account codes. It's just to be transparent to council of what they're approving in the capital budget.
So what I'll do is I'll take questions in regard to this capital change, and then we'll fall into the deeper into the budget after that. So is there any questions? I can start. So Blake, you had 75. Was it specific to guardrail that were intended to be done and that you're downscaling them, or what was the thoughts?
Through the mayor, the go back on the budget presentation and the amount of dollars we need for bridges and culverts. Guardrails is part of the bridge system that, or even major culverts. Reevaluating the safety factor of a heavily used road with gravel surface and potholes and a lot of walking traffic to doing just a little chunk of a guardrail at a bridge. I think reevaluating with the director of finance, that I think is more feasible and more profitable for the taxpayers' dollars to be spent to improve that section of road where we're actually in our budget we're working all around that area. And basically when I try to put budgets together, you get a better cost value if you can tender out an area where they're not mobilizing and demobilizing and going throughout the township. So that's, if you see the road system that's in there, it's basically all in that area, right? Basically,
In the same area.
yeah.
So any questions? So the dollar value does not change, it's just the reallocation. Any questions on that? Councillor Bajelli?
Just actually a comment more than a question, and I can appreciate the need to do Tolmie's Corner Road. Specifically, looking ahead, the amount of traffic for that road is increasing on a yearly basis, and with the anticipated work that's going to be taking place along the 138, it's going to be a natural diversion for us over the next few years as that work is. So I'm 100% backing the upgrades needed to Tolmie's Corner Road.
Councillor McDonald?
It's gonna be a pain, but if you're applying that pothole funding to 2025, it didn't like generate a surplus that we could use to fund this?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Public Works is not a self-funded department. It's part of the whole taxation system. So whatever surpluses there could be at the end of the year applies to the working reserve and not specifically to Public Works.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Densham.
Yeah, and I guess it's not a question specifically on 2026. It's more looking across the various years. And so when I look at the approved budget for 2025, it was $1.6 million. When I look at 2027, it's $2.9 million. 2026, we actually went down over 2025 to 1.5 million from 1.665 million, basically. It just makes me a little bit nervous about what the future holds, I guess, for roads at this point in time, and the fact that we're spending less, yet we're increasing the levy percentage. So I don't know that I have a question. I'm just kind of struggling to understand how we're spending that much less in the public works on capital in the coming year, even though we have so much on the horizon. We spent more last year. We're increasing the tax rate, but we're spending less on one of the major areas of business for us. So I don't know if anybody has some comments on that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, please bear in mind for 2027, some items that were in 2026 that we felt the tax increase could not accommodate were simply pushed to 2027. So 2027's figures may be overinflated. They may be occurring in other years. That was a push that was decided because 2027 is not being approved at this point in time. So that number could be overinflated, and some of those items in 2027 could in fact be for future years. As far as spending less, I can't comment unless the superintendent of Public Works wants to comment.
No, and that's fine. I don't mind spending less. But it does imply, given the fact that we are increasing our tax rate and we're spending less in public works, we're spending not a whole lot more, but we are spending more in other areas of the business that may catch up to us. And so it's kind of the shifting of dollars here. Anyhow, I think I'll just leave it at that for now. I just hope that in 2027 it doesn't come back to bite us. That's kind of what I'm in the back of my mind wondering.
And through you, Mr. Mayor, and to try and answer this question, I may not, but there are a few fairly big factors, and I see our CEO may have a few more comments specifically, so if I miss something, please do. we did have, like, we are adding opportunities staffing wise so that we can hopefully encourage future growth. So that would have maybe, as we were trying to keep things tight. Additionally, we did see our GFL money decreased. We decreased how much we were transferring out of EDP, which might account for enough of that. I think it was 240 to 180,000. So there's that missing out of revenue that's not taxation. And there was one other thing that I'm forgetting presently, but like there was a few items that, you know, there were $100,000 differences in the previous year's revenue, probably more, and that would likely be it. So I do appreciate, as you said, you don't want to see your investment in your infrastructure go down. This year's probably a tighten the belt year and not rely so much on the, I don't know if that particular number you're referencing refers to like debt for the plow bot in 2025. This budget did not have any of that debt either, so we're not pushing it down. So there's a few things there that would have made this a reality. And I mean, if we started, like, how did I say, we started at a great amount larger, and we did winnow it down to try and make it manageable for council, given the priorities through your strategic plan. But I think I see the CEO with another item that I might be missing.
Go ahead, Chad.
Through you, Mayor. And also, we did hear from council at our budget meeting last week about the fact that a lot of budget lines hit public works, but they should apply in other areas. So we did go through the exercise of reallocating funds that were typically reflected in the public works budget, which technically should have fallen in others. So that may account for a large portion of that as well. So the pieces that our interim mayor referenced, but I think the movement of that to the appropriate budget lines is probably where that reflects most often.
And maybe one more item that could be kind of justifying. So when you look at our assumption or our projections for our 10-year plan, if you look at 2025, 2026, which we're not identifying any, but then moving on, we've got 900,000 in road resurfacing. So the 2.9, if you take the 9 that we're not seeing right now, so what is that just a number that we're throwing out there to say that we're going to be allocating close to $1 million a year to resurface our roads?
Through the mayor, it comes down to basically best practice of investing in your infrastructure at the right time and not have to go to a complete rebuild, which is a much higher cost, and providing a good driving surface for the public themselves. But basically, it's a preventive maintenance kind of program where it's best practice not to go over your limit, but maintain your infrastructure that you already have invested in now. And as you said, other municipalities that first started over in Western Ontario, where they had surface-treated roads or whatever that they couldn't maintain, and they turned them back into gravel. So I believe that's more value with the calcium program, gravel program, to maintain our roads in a safe factor that at the long term is going to be most likely less costly for the municipal taxpayers than to actually let roads go to deteriorate beyond the repair and spending close to double the money to maintain them.
So when we look, is that road resurfacing, is that where we're just looking at our gravel roads, or is that also looking at our surface-treated roads? Because right now, this year, where we're not identifying anything in road resurfacing, but if you look at the 8th and McNeil and Tolmes and Ashburn, Gravel Hill, Tolmes Corners, is that kind of falls into that same, or is that two separate line items?
Well, there's one in the budget that it has gravel resurfacing. That's for gravel roads. Basically, the 8th, McNeil, Cummings, the south of 43 on Tolmes, it's all signal overlays, which would extend another 10 to 12 years on that road without basically any maintenance. So it's basically both. And then,
so what I'm saying is the 900 does that kind of take into a factor of doing all these little projects would come out of that 900?
Yeah, yes.
So there's nothing in that line item, but if you look further, they're identified. So there is money going towards road resurfacing, but it's just not identified in there. So
It's in the capital, that's what I,
no, I appreciate the information. Any further questions in regards to capital? Seeing none. So moving now on to Lachlan, if you can just maybe go over where we left off on budget first draft and changes that took place over the course of the week.
Okay, so this would be, and through you, Mr. Mayor, page 20 of your agenda. And we left off, you thought at 7.02, but as we reevaluated the benefits, because we kind of did that as a spot thing, it was actually 6.93 where we left off that day. So you hit your Walmart special, we didn't. So give you your love back there. You tasked us with finding other ways to increase revenue or decrease expenses. There were a few, and some went up. And so Deputy Mayor Densham had mentioned the kind of the ROI on purchasing a vehicle versus reimbursement. But I believe it was Treasurer Goyette mentioned that maybe leasing, and that is in here. So that solves it for $8,000, which is much more close to what we're spending now. Additionally, we added revenue for, that's, I guess, your bank account. We called BMO and we got 0.35% better rate. This will equate to about $15,000 to $22,000 a year every year, because based on current reserve holdings. So that's kind of in your budget forever. So that was a nice little win. Reduced recycling costs. That was for our own facilities. As you know, ICI, we are I. So we have to take care of ourselves. That was in the budget at 24. Because of our Director of Public Works and our CEO had conversations with several people. I wasn't part of it, but they saved you $5,000 there.
You're just not going to pick up our recycling, so no, I'm just kidding.
6,000.
Yeah, it could be a little more. I guess it's 5,500, 6,000 that would save there. Yeah, and then I guess it was Councillor Shane had mentioned we'd missed that one line. We put it to 16.5, and you'll see that we brought it to 20 because that's more realistic. And then there was some discussion about the mayor's item. We had moved it from 1 to 5. We do figure that there's probably one more good meeting in there. And then for OGRA, at least in the experience that I'm aware of, and I did ask a few people, is sometimes you have to bring your own people to help with the hospitality suites. So we decreased that 1,000 more just to be a little more tight on that and not to add any fluff. So that now left us at 6.68 local, and that we started originally at 10.13%. Was brought down from the first deliberation to 6.93, and this is our local tax rate, and then further brought down to 6.68. What this means for your citizen is for a typical household assessed at about $220,000, their taxes will be about $2,800 or $2,820. Their tax bill will go up $120 or about $10 a month, of which $60 a year is just to us here in North Stormont, or $5 a month from the North Stormont portion. The county portion is the other portion. And school boards have not increased it. So when you look at all the factors, the counties, ourselves, and the school board, the increase to taxation is 4.68, and that's what everyone will feel in their pocket.
Thank you. Any comments, questions, omission, addition? Go ahead, Councillor McDonald.
I had a quick question, but it's really small dollars, but we had committed to matching, I think, some FCM grants for tree planting. And I just wanted to make sure that that's in there. I have received a lot of emails lately from people who are very concerned about forest cover in the municipality. There's a lot of tree cutting going on, and I don't often have anything really good to tell them in response in terms of what we can do. But it would be nice to ensure them at least that we are including some money in our budget that we'll see trees planted in urban parks or areas where the public gathers.
Through the chair, we council did approve in 2025 to match a fund with South Nation for 2,000, and they did the same for 2026, a matching fund of 2,000.
So that's in there, that's good. And then there was some questions about the water rates, because this is the budget and the water rates, today?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the water rates were provided in the budget documentation. The bylaw that is following for water and wastewater also includes the procedures such as penalties and things like that. So the budget itself will not totally address all the procedures in place with water and wastewater. Same with tax collection. So you'll see later in the agenda, there is the bylaw adopting the budget, and then from there, we're going to do the water and wastewater rates. And then probably the following council meeting, we'll have the formal tax rate bylaw.
Well, there was some talk about how water rates are charged for apartment buildings and just concerns about that. Have there been conversations about those rates and if they're fair and appropriate, or have they been reviewed? Or
I can maybe speak on that. So the month or two ago when we did get the delegations so I think that's where we got to start inquiring on whether there's appetite for. So I think it's more of, I don't know, like we didn't allocate any money to do a specific study, but I'm thinking to have staff and just look and see to get things moving. So right now, we're kind of status quo, but I think it's something that if we can kind of get a direction from this council to lend it over to the next term of council to implement and review those things. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Dinch.
Just on that topic specifically, and I think this term, what I really like about this term is I think we've been taking stock of a lot of things, trying to look at what's been happening in the past, ask questions about why it's been happening that way, and then where appropriate, making some realignment. And that's kind of how I see this playing out, is for the rest of this year, maybe we take stock. I think there's a lot of legacy stuff here and there that don't necessarily match each other in terms of how people are being charged. And that just happened. I mean, it wasn't by design, it just kind of happened over the various generations. But I would hope that this year we can just kind of take stock of that, and then, as you said, kind of gather our thoughts, but then potentially leave it to the next term with our input from this council, with the homework that staff has done, to be able to then make a decision going forward. So this is kind of taking stock. And again, congratulations to staff, because I know a lot of that has been going on and catching up. So I think you're becoming experts at it. So hopefully this year we'll be able to pull together a really good inventory there.
And if we can, along with our partners, whether it's Aqua, whether it's just gather the information. The issue is, if we're looking at moving forward, we're going to be dealing with budget early or late at the end of this year or early next year, which would identify. So if we don't prepare ourselves, it's just going to get pushed another year. So I think it's something that to give direction to staff to do our homework, itemize what it is that we need to do, what direction we want to take, and then implement that in the new year. So, pardon?
Duly noted.
Yeah. Any other questions in regards to budget? Go ahead, Councillor Bajelli.
Well, I'll just make a few comments on the budget itself. First and foremost, a huge thank you to staff and our interim treasurer as well that stepped in as well. A lot of work was put into this. It's not an easy task. So I appreciate everything that you've done, and the communication with all of us at council, I think, has been great as we've gone through the process. Very open, very transparent. The rate is the highest we've seen since we've been in council in the fall of 2022. I think we've been under 5% every single year. That being said, I think we have we're looking ahead to the future to make sure that we're not artificially keeping things low to the detriment of future councils and the detriment really to our community down the road. Everything's getting more expensive. We realize that. We are the smallest population when it comes to the county, so we have to always be punching above our weight. I think we go above and beyond when it comes to things like recreational facilities. The programs that we offer can match any other municipality across the region. And to say that we're able to do that with a smaller tax base is really an accomplishment. So I think it's very important that we do start really realizing that we sometimes do have to go above just a magical number and say we can't say we'd love to hit you at 4.9% again, but realistically we also want to keep the assets that we have. We want to keep growing our community and not really handcuff future councils in a position where they'd come in and be left in a position where they're now having to look at 10, 12, 15% tax hikes that we are seeing in other parts of the province. So I will stand behind this budget at the 6.68%. I'm sure we will get some blowback because we have gone over 5, but I'm in a very confident, thanks to the work that you do, I feel like I am in a very confident position to be able to defend that rate effectively across. So, thank you, everyone.
If I can add so a lot of what was just said was part of my speech. So I'd like to start off before speaking for myself. Councillor Shane did send, and he sent it to all of council. He did review, had a look at, he sent us his approval. So he's not going to come back and deny that he was thinking that this was not the number he was looking for. So I think Councillor Shane is aware of what Councillor Bogelli just said. If and I'm sure the whole township is listening. The Todd, how many are we looking at? Yeah. So what I'm looking at is if you identify people saying how many families are struggling, the cost of food in our grocery store, but it's no different for the municipality. So every tender that goes out, every service that is rendered to the township has escalated to, so we still have to manage and try to relate to the hard times that are for many that are there for cost increase. But being an election year, many times you can play the game. It just shows, I think, the credibility of this council. We understand what it is that is needed to run and it's unfortunate the percentage, I believe North Glengarry might be a bit lower. What I look at is not the percentage. What I look at is the money coming into. So many of the bigger municipalities, North Glen as one example, might be lower percentage-wise, but they're still getting quite a bit more than what we are that comes into our pocket. And I don't know, I think Treasurer McDonald can maybe relate some numbers for me.
Yes, thank you. And I'm sorry I didn't put these in. They were late coming to us, but the point, and again, through you, Mr. Mayor, that you're trying to make is, so North Stormont over the last 4 years, I did over 4 years because of the term of council, right? So you're actually the only municipality that hasn't increased more than $1 million to the levy. You're currently sitting at $925,000. The next closest would be 1.2 million of North Glengarry, and then you have to go up to 2.1 million for South Dundas. South Glengarry went up 2.9 million. South Stormont went up 3.25 million, plus or minus. And then your neighbor to the west has taken some aggressive stance on infrastructure and are at 4.58 million. Sorry, these were millions, all these numbers, not thousands, I think I said. So when you look at it that way, yes, the percentage is, I think, over your term, 28%. And that's fairly middling, we'll say, because it's 19, 27, 30, 41, and 63%. So it's like fairly average when you consider percentage. But in dollar value, the assets you're buying, the buildings, the structures, the roads you're laying down, the things that your community depends on, I think you're quite right in punching above your weight, because sometimes percentages play a different game. But I think when you look at it all together, and we can maybe throw that on the website once we get the final thing from North Glengarry, or share it with council, just so you can see it yourselves. Because whenever you have numbers and you have projects and you can reason, and I think, as you said, there might be 6,000 people watching this meeting that they can get it to.
Yeah. So again, thanks for the numbers, Lachlan. So by saying that, we have great volunteers running wonderful services. I think that matches any other municipalities when it comes to facilities that we do have. Fire, we have, I think it's been said many times, past Mayor Ward used to say, but we basically have the same infrastructure or a fleet as the city of Cornwall. So it's hard to try to grasp at running 4 fire halls serving our communities, but we still have to maintain those. So 5 recreational halls. So there's lots that we maintain, and as you said, we punch above our weight class. So all in all, I think at a 6.68, I'll stand behind it. I think it gives us where it maintains the service that we offer. At the same time, there is that increase of more of our taxes. But again, I think we've kept it to a minimal for what the need is at the municipal level. So, any further comments, Steve? Go ahead.
Sorry, I thought I was going to let you have the last word, but no, I agree. Just to throw another number into the mix there, if you look at our mill rate, which I was watching for the last, virtually every budget we've done that. Last year, we were 15% lower than the next highest, which was North Dundas. And North Dundas, as we said, has made some significant increases according to their strategy. So again, in terms of how much each ratepayer pays per $100,000 of land value, property value, house value, we're at least 15% lower. So again, I think staff is doing a fantastic job using the money that they have to look after virtually the same size geographically of infrastructure that is being cared for under their vigilant care. And again, I think as well, we've had some good revenue come in with GFL, but we need our tax rate to keep pace as well, because it needs to be sustainable, to be self-supporting, and hopefully we can continue to take advantage of that GFL money to do some of the necessary infrastructure work we need to do, hopefully over time, to be able to build our reserves as well. But our tax rate does have to keep pace with the true expenses, and I think that's exactly what staff has done with this percentage. So I agree. I think it's the right number. A lot of work went into making sure that it was enough, but not too much, and so I thank staff for that.
And on the last notes, if you look at staff, I believe fire just got 70,000, I think, in grants. So when we're looking at grant opportunities, and I've spoken with many of my counterparts at the county level, they look at what we've done is quite impressive. So whether it's the Finch project that took place, again, that was funding. It's a lot of work, but I think we've got great staff in place that do go and get those, and every grant funding that comes in is money that we're not taking out, because we're always going to offer the best service we can offer, but at the same time, we're not taking it out of our taxpayers' dollars. It's funding that's there for us to take. It's just the hard work and the great work that staff do to attain those. So again, let's keep up the good work. So thank you very much. So with that said, any further questions in regards to our budget? Seeing none, so is this something we can ratify tonight in regards to, is this what we're doing right now?
No, you're just
Accepting it, and then we'll pass it after. Perfect. So with that, no further questions. All in favor of the budget? Motion is carried. Moving on to our bylaws. Item 10.1, bylaw number 04-2026 in regards to interim tax levy.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Densham, seconded by Councillor McDonald. Be it resolved that bylaw number 04-2026, being a bylaw to provide an interim tax levy for the Township of North Stormont, be read a first, a second, and a third time, passed, signed, and sealed this 27th day of January 2026.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Bylaw number 05-2026, being our 2026 operating and capital budget.
Moved by Councillor Bujelli, seconded by Councillor McDonald. Be it resolved that bylaw number 05-2026, being a bylaw to levy and adopt the 2026 capital and operating budgets in the amount of $4,181,637, be read a first, a second, and a third time, passed, signed, and sealed this 27th day of January 2026.
Thank you. Any further questions? No change of heart? No change of, Last one, thanks for finance, thanks for the staff, and I'll take a vote. All in favor? Motion is carried. Moving on to bylaw number 06-2026 in regards to water and wastewater rates.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Deputy Mayor Densham. Be it resolved that bylaw number 06-2026, being a bylaw to impose fees or charges for the supply of water and sewer services, be read a first, a second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed this 27th day of January 2026.
Thank you. So this is not really anything to do with how it's basically just the rate that we're approving. So any questions in regards to the, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Densham.
No, just to reiterate that I think next year we'll be wanting to take a look, much more thorough look at this, given some of the homework that's done, and depending on whether we're sitting at the table. Again, I think traditionally we've been increasing by 5.7%, which was a recommendation that was made 3, 4, 5 years ago. And I think it was a good recommendation. I think it's allowed us to keep pace. But we have a lot of moving parts going on right now with the new lagoon, with the development that's taking place, with some of the homework that's being done to analyze. So I think next year is going to be a really thorough look at water and wastewater. And ultimately, that's got to come right back down to the ratepayer, which is the rates. So it'll be a great time to be able to look at. So I'm comfortable with what we're doing this year. My hope is that it's setting us up well to be looking at a really solid analysis and solid recommendation for next year.
And for those that have been following council's meetings, so we did get or looked at a study that was done in regards to DC charges. So when development charges potentially could come into play is going to be a factor. With furthermore development is another factor that just grows. So what we're looking at is the operational part of the water and sewer system. And right now we're identifying the 5.7. Things can change with everything that's the moving parts that are playing. And again, we'll be over the year looking at what can be done to facilitate and improve. And again, the meter discussions that we've had will be an option for people to let the smaller users can actually have a mechanism to keep their cost lower with respect to the consumption that they use. So there's lots that will come into to discussions over the year to hopefully put something in place as we move forward. So with that said, any further questions in regards to water and wastewater rates? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Bylaw for the stop up and close unopened road allowance for the Moose Creek Railway Street. Mr. CEO.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Densham, seconded by Councillor Bujelli. Be it resolved that bylaw number 07-2026, being a bylaw to stop up and close the unopened road allowance of Moose Creek Railway Street and a portion of the unopened but unused road allowance in the Township of North Stormont, be read a first, a second, and a third time, passed, signed, and sealed this 27th day of January 2026.
Thank you. So for councils, so Railway Street is in the village of Moose Creek. There is part of the road, so it's right by the railroad tracks. There's part of the road that
You know what would be so helpful? A map.
is the map not, I know exactly
I
what it
know
is.
you
Is
know.
the map in the report?
No, and it's really hard to evaluate these
So-
things without a map.
Yeah, so I will, Mr. CEO, moving
judging-
forward, and I apologize, so I've read the report, but I don't need a map. So basically, when you do the big 90-degree curve coming into Moose Creek, before the railroad tracks on your left-hand side, it was Teore property. There's the railway streets in there that jogs and goes further in the back that was never developed. We have a fire hydrant part ways up that, so we're keeping the one section of the road, but what's going back to the back is there's no need for the municipality to, there's no multiple neighbors, it's the same neighbor, it's part of the, so we're looking at closing part of that road. It's been appraised and same process as everything else. It's not a big chunk of land, but it's just I think to clean up. I think with this being done, would this finalize so the surveys can all be done and just get everything transferred?
Through the mayor, I believe, yes, we try to get this in the last minute, but this was a severance, and so that was brought to council before. It's very confusing, the map. I mean, through the mayor, who was involved in surveying that, it was hard to keep everything straight and make it look right, and the surveying and the different pieces, the land being transferred to us for the turnaround. Yes, we should have, we will put maps in, just to refresh your mind from the severance.
Yeah, so the severance. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Densham.
Yeah, I think we'd kind of, that was a request from council in the past. I know we've had a number of staff changeovers, but anytime we're talking about this, if we could have a picture, because as confusing as it looks on paper, it looks more confusing in this head when I don't have a piece of paper. So, yeah, anytime we have anything that has to do with zoning or lots or whatever, and the reality is, like you said, you already have the picture. So I think even if you represented it, it would jog our memories, and because I think I do remember that awkward little spot. So thank you.
So if I can ask, I know it's even maybe to put it back, I'm not sure if it can be added to the agenda that's already there, but maybe tomorrow, have maybe the map sent to council, just so that they're aware on what the discussion. So.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I apologize for my sassiness on that. It's just because I'm a very visual person. I know we've discussed it before, and if you're asking us to approve something, I don't feel comfortable approving a verbal definition, but I do feel with it. I see the dollar value is very small, and I feel comfortable with the advice given. Apologize.
I know we're, I think it's tight on time, so Tyler Allison has been working with Public Works, and I know he's been asking me what's going on with this. Is this time sensitive to try to get this finalized? It's just that I'm aware of what they're saying. We're voting on this. Unless we have a copy of close by that they can see before making a vote. Because I'm asking council to vote on something that if you're not fully aware, but I don't know what the timeline is.
This has been dragging out a long time. There is, in the background, there's financial implications on involved in this. I can go see if I got the map. I think somebody sent it to me. Oh, you want to wait?
Through you, Mayor, yeah, we can go back, I can go back to the past agenda where the maps were shared back in August of 2025 and pull that report and share those maps with council so they can see the exact, for this one as well as the next bylaw that's going to come forward for the A.L. Blair bylaw that's going to get placed, so.
And again, the bylaw for A.L. Blair, was there maps on?
They were there previously. Previous to 2014, when it was presented, so that would be well before this council's term.
So that's my fault. If I would have maybe realized, I would have specifically said to add them on. They're in my head because I see them, I'm aware of what's going on, so for that I apologize. So I'll leave it to council, give me a nod, or like it was something that was passed as far as the severance.
Just went into August, it's right there. I think this is the picture.
Yeah, so there's a road that we're keeping. This. Okay.
Can you print it?
Well, you know, I'd rather, if we're going to vote on this, we'll get Pierre, if you can print that. At least council will. So with that said, if Pierre's, did you want to maybe jump down to correspondence and then we'll come back to the two land conveyance? Is that? So let's move on to item for 11, our correspondence, beginning at 11.1 all the way to 11.9. Mr. Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Bugelli, seconded by Mayor Densham. Be it resolved that the correspondence is listed as items 11.1 to 11.9 on the agenda be received.
Any discussions in regards to correspondence that was submitted? Hey, we got time to, yeah. I think the ongoing support or with regards to Conservation Authority keeps, getting, I'd be curious to see how many municipalities. Go ahead, Councillor, or Deputy Mayor Densham.
No, the other item, I guess it's, given the fact that, it's an election year as well, we're starting to see elect, respect pledge. And again, I think we'd like to see good, positive competition in the upcoming election and people being dealt with respectfully. So again, whether or not we want to bring that support to some of the resolutions that have been put forward, I wouldn't be opposed to that. But like I say, it is an important topic. And given the fact that we're coming into an election year, I know some people are almost afraid to put their name forward for council sometimes because of some of the antics that they see from time to time. So I wouldn't have a problem if staff could come back maybe at our next meeting with a show of support for an appropriate elect respect resolution in the future.
Yes, if that's the wish of council, then I'll have staff come back with that proposed resolution. Yep.
Thank you. So with that said, any other further correspondence? All in favor of accepting the report or the correspondence? Motion is carried. Moving on to new business in regards to the appointment of council to a committee of adjustment.
Moved by Councillor Bujelli, seconded by Councillor McDonald, that the council of the Township of North Stormont appoint the following members of council to the Committee of Adjustment for the 2026 calendar year. Mayor Francois Landry, Councillor Adrian Bujelli, and Councillor Allison McDonald.
And do we, so we re-implement, so the layperson, are they there for the full term of council? Is that, so, yes, perfect. Thank you. So, is there a resolution on that? Is that a motion? So, okay, so any questions? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Densham.
I'm just wondering, I don't think these have changed all for the entire term. Do we have to do this every year, or can we do it once per term? And maybe that's something we can.
My understanding is it's a yearly thing to bring forward, not for the full term, but I can certainly look deeper into that and provide a more detailed response. But off the top, my understanding is it's brought forward every year.
Not a biggie.
I don't know if it's a public entity, like we have our fire committee, we have different ones, but it's okay. Oh, so we didn't get the motion. So before we move on to our drawings, let's, any further questions in regards to Committee of Adjustment? Seeing none, all in favor? Can we, sorry, it's carried. I'm just confused because three of us are voting that our names are on there, so, yeah. And I say we up our per diem to $1 million, no. So, that is done. So now, before we move on to scheduling of our other meetings, let's move back to bylaw 10 point, which one were we at? Was this 10.4? Hold on. Ten 10.4 is the bylaw that, yes. So basically, if you look at the first page where you see it in red, is what's going to be, that we're removing from our road fabric. What's in green where you see Moose Creek, Railway Street. So coming off from the County Road 15, we go up to between the houses, so where it says Moose Creek Railway Street is what we're keeping. We have a fire hydrant, which one of our infrastructure. Following that, what's in red is what we're removing from that. Well, I'm not quite sure. If you look at the red, like we're going over top buildings. So there's, I'm not sure what took place over in the past, but this has never gone anywhere. I'm not sure if there was ever a thought of doing some development back there, and that's where the municipality pushed a road that was, and that never panned out.
Through the mayor, in my history here, it's always been that way. Sometime way back, and maybe the mayor could enlighten us more with how things were developed back with planned villages. And but once they do that and they designate it, and if it's no value to the municipality, then there's no use in keeping it. And there was structures built on it back, like I've been around a long time, back in my early days, and without anybody really knowing that this was actually designated as a road, because lots of times back then it was town fathers that ran the villages, and things wasn't like today.
So with that said, any questions in regard to what you're looking at? Seeing none, all in favor of, yeah, I'll get Chad to reread it, just so you know what you're, go ahead, Mr. Clerk.
So that was moved by Deputy Mayor Densham and seconded by Councillor Bugelli. Be it resolved that bylaw number 07-2026, being a bylaw to stop up and close the unopened road allowance of Moose Creek Railway Street and a portion of the open but unused road allowance in the Township of North Stormont, be read a first, a second, and a third time, passed, signed, and sealed this 27th day of January 2026.
And one last time, any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion's carried. Moving to bylaw number 08-2026 in regards to conveyance of lands to Bretzler Farms Limited.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Densham, seconded by Councillor McDonald. Be it resolved that bylaw number 08-2026, being a bylaw to authorize the conveyance of the unopened road allowance of Moose Creek Railway Street and a portion of the open but unused road allowance in the Township of North Stormont, be read a first, a second, and a third time, passed, signed, and sealed this 27th day of January 2026.
Thank you. So as you can see, Bretzler owns all that land. It's one owner, so it's generally when you have a road allowance, you have to offer half to adjoining neighbors, but in this case, it's not the case. So the best one basically, I think, is the last one. The last one, which is I'm not sure. So just so we know, it's the appraisal. Everything is borne the cost by the so the township is following the procedures of any road allowance that would be transferred. Go ahead.
And so it's about a half acre and it's about $1,500, so it's about $3,000 an acre with everything in. Valuation of land.
Like I say, the numbers are the numbers. I'm not sure what.
Actually, official appraiser went in and viewed the area and gave his written opinion on the value that basically could be, because maybe it's a building on the road that you can't sell the building because we don't own the building. But I mean, it was done by an official appraiser, which we go through every time, and the value is what they give, and the buyer agreed with the appraisal and agreed to pay the set amount that to close the deal.
With that said, any further question? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion's carried. Moving on to item 10.6, bylaw number 09-2026, to stop and close up unopened road allowance on Marionville Road. You just kind of give a brief and then we'll evaluate. So basically, you guys know where Blair's Quarry is. You do the S-curve where the, used to be the old restaurant Aristocrat or whatever. It's been other facilities, variety of services. But so right beside that house, there's a road that goes, which an unopened road allowance. It was mainly traveled by four-wheelers, and so a lot of people had, so what it is half of that road, so it's a boundary road. Half of the road is Russell Township, the other half is North Stormont. It's about, is it a kilometer long, roughly, give or take? So that kilometer of road has already been dealt with in Russell. So half the road is and Blair owns on both sides. So again, we fall into, so Russell, I think, has completed their deal. We have been lagging, it's been ongoing, and I know Blair's were saying, you know, can we get this finalized? So it's basically to take the 33 feet that's on our side and closing our side, which Russell already closed theirs. Can you add anything, Blake?
Through the mayor, it was, we agreed back years ago to up and close and sell this road off. So nothing against Russell Township, but they've been dragging their feet. Last year, that portion of the road, unopened road allowance, is like being a boundary road. We look after so much of a boundary road, they look after. And so, not to push Russell, I actually went down there with my vehicle, and I talked to the superintendent from Russell Township that they had a trail going on it. I said, it was dangerous because we should not have a trail on it, and actually all it is rock and steep cuts in the rock, and I said we got to get rid of this road and get rid of the trail, and they finally stepped ahead, and I believe it went through a week ago. So it wasn't on our, I shouldn't blame it wasn't on our side that got delayed so long. Interest groups didn't want the trail to be eliminated, which mainly is in Russell Township. So we did our best just to keep it going.
And I think as a kid, I've gone down there. It's quite a difference in elevation when you, to me, if there's a trail, then there's also a risk of liability and the stuff that falls onto, end of it all, everything I think is complete on one side. I think now is just a process to, so if council prefers to see again the map, I will.
As a high school student, I also used said trail, so I'm very familiar with it.
Familiar with it? Yeah.
No, I've been there. I've actually been there.
So, hey? Okay. She survived. So with that said, then let's, I'll take further questions. If seeing none, we can put it to a vote.
Well, I have to read the resolutions yet. I just wanted to make sure you didn't want maps before so we could defer it if we had to, but if we're good, I'll move forward with reading the resolutions. Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Bujelli. Be it resolved that bylaw number 09-2026 being a bylaw to stop up and close the unopened road allowance of Marionville Road between St. Edward Road and County Road 5, running between the Township of Russell and the Township of North Stormont, be read a first, a second, and a third time, passed, signed, and sealed this 27th day of January 2026.
Thank you. No last questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. And the last one, bylaw number 10-2026, to the conveyance of lands to A.L. Blair.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Deputy Mayor Densham. Be it resolved that bylaw number 10-2026, being a bylaw to authorize the conveyance of the unopened road allowance of Marionville Road between St. Edward Road and County Road 5, running between the Township of Russell and the Township of North Stormont, be read a first, a second, and a third time, passed, signed, and sealed this 27th day of January 2026.
Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. So the correspondence is done. Moving on to our next scheduled meeting. So there's only one council meeting that takes place in February, which I believe is February 17th. And we do have the fire committee meeting. Nancy, do you have the? As you're looking for that, we also have a committee of adjustment meeting that will take place on February the 6th. I'm sure that would be posted if anybody wishes to go and identify the variances. Oh, you know what? I can probably find it quicker. Yeah. So, so February 19th, we got the fire committee meeting. 17th is our regular council meeting, and February the 6th is minor variance committee of adjustment. Moving on to, now my computer just shut off, so we have our coming events. I think our community centers are well with their Facebook pages, township website, have a look and see and support activities. I'm sure there's winter carnivals that will be taking place coming up in, I know for one family day long weekend, I believe is, or week is. Pierre, did you want to speak maybe just quickly, Vic, being the fact that carnivals are a big part of our.
Yeah, there's through the chair, there's Winterfest in Moose Creek. I believe that's this weekend. I didn't receive the coordinates from any recreation, so that's why there's nothing on the agenda. So I encourage everybody to go and check their Facebook page and see what's going on in North Stormont right up to February.
Perfect. Thank you. So moving on to, there's no closed session, so ratification bylaw, Mr. CAO.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Bujelli. Be it resolved that bylaw number 11-2026, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify council's actions at its regular meeting of January 27th, 2026, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 27th day of January 2026.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion's carried. And our adjournment, please.
Be it resolved that this regular meeting adjourn at 7:15 p.m.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much, everyone, and have yourself a good night.